Okay, I like the big drums. It's like
Like the taiko drums.
so cool, and some great cinematography.
There it is.
Science Patrol badge on the lapel. What are we watching here?
Cool. Oh, I love
Okay,
that.
what-
That's
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my god. Okay,
That's
is
very
so
cool looking.
bizarre.
It's still got the youthfulness of the original show, but it,
And look
Okay,
at
I
this.
just
looks
got
huge.
chills
Yeah.
seeing that. Oh my god, that was so good.
that looks awesome.
That's
that looks
so
awesome.
cool. That's gonna be
Holy shit.
Mark
That's gonna be
Maddox
really
is a pig
cool.
in slop. That was good. That was
and it's
good.
the director of Shin Godzilla. Am I correct?
I think
Yes,
so.
I think
Double
so.
check that, but I'm pretty certain it is. That's the reason the name. But it looked like the old show, but it didn't. The people were more intense. It looks like the photography, the acting looks like it's going to be a little more. But the actual, I don't know, the childlike aspects of the original monsters in the original series seem to be intact.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's a
yeah, I
weird
mean,
monster.
Oh, it's weird. I mean, it's like there's like
So weird.
drills on its back as
Yeah.
it's moving up the mountainside or something.
And it has
Yeah,
the-
I'm totally
the
there. I'm
opening-
totally there.
I love too because Shin Godzilla, he did some really interesting creature design. Like he just sort of takes and kind of builds it from the ground up again. But Ultraman is pure Ultraman. He did not fuck with it. It was like this is Ultraman. I mean, I was obsessed with Ultraman when I was a little kid. I was just like I loved it, and I had the toys, and I watched it the whole time. So seeing Ultraman, I just got total chills. Like, oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Did it so 2021, but we don't know that exact release date.
Nobody knows when anything's coming out anymore.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's true.
Well, I mean, for Shin Godzilla, I'm sure it was out in Japan before we saw it because it took me a while to be able to see it.
Yeah.
And I saw it at the house. I mean, I bought the Blu-ray sight unseen. But
the
I
Blu-ray
loved
too.
that
So
movie.
good.
I've
So
watched
good.
it 3 times since we saw it, since it first came out, since I first got it. This looks like it continues continues on in that tradition. So I'm jonesing, man.
It's got
Yeah,
a
me too.
Japanese feel to it, which
Yeah,
I
it
really
does.
like. They're taking back the sort of Japanese vibe. I think for a while, and especially it started, I think, in the 80s with the sort of new Godzilla, where they were trying to make them like Western films, or they were trying to make them like aliens. Is kind of
That's exactly what I thought. Like aliens, they had the military and all that kind of stuff. I will give a colossal nod though to the standout one at that time was GMK.
Yeah.
Godzilla. What's the full title? Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters, All Out Attack.
All Out Attack. Yes.
And I think that movie stunned me when I first saw it. And that guy went on to do one of the great Gamera films.
They're great.
Yeah,
I like them, but they're just not Japanese. They don't have that Japanese feel like Shin Godzilla did. They weren't they weren't sort of pandering to an American Western action audience. They're making a Japanese film that takes place in Japan with Japanese people, Japanese culture and Japanese sensibilities as far as the ideas and the coolness. Like the beginning of this, when you see all these Science Patrol people, it's like it's a Japanese film. I love that.
Yeah,
I want to see a Japanese movie.
So how do we pronounce his name, the director? Because he's
I
brilliant.
don't know. You tell me.
Like
We'll both know.
Shinji Higuchi.
I don't know.
I'm probably mutilated. I'm so sorry for all our Japanese fans.
Oh,
My terrible
but it's
pronunciation.
Well, there's a lot of problems.
Mariah Productions.
Yeah, there's a thing with the emphasis on words in Japanese is on the end.
Yes, I always get that.
Western culture. I think a lot of times it's on the front.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But the thing I loved about Shin Godzilla was that it was the best human parts in any Godzilla film since the first one. To me, I love Gojira tremendously, and I never get tired of it. But that's like a noir film to me. It's almost like a crime film, but the big bad guy coming out's a giant monster shot and filmed that way. But this movie, Shin Godzilla, I was like the whole bureaucracy crap that would happen. This is the way it would be. Was fairly brilliant. Yeah,
and it's very relatable to have them going, oh, here comes this thing. What should we do? Should we attack? No, we don't want to attack. Should we do this? No, we shouldn't do that. And there's this total like conflict and no one can agree. So nobody does anything. I mean, we just
lost our window option for option
now
A.
We can't do it.
Now we can't do option A. So we're limited now to option B and C.
So good.
So between option B and now it's too late for option B.
Yeah.
Now we have.
And it was funny because the whole thing took place in that one room. where they all argued around. Then they cut out to Godzilla, just tearing shit up. Then they cut back to them going, You're just like, oh my God.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do.
Very excited about this.
Ultraman, because Ultraman is a weird character, even though we grew up with him and we understand him, but the way he looks, it's like, what is he? I know people that are like, what is he supposed to be? Is he an alien or a robot or?
He's just cool. That's all we need to know. He's just cool.
He looked good in that trailer.
It looked great.
He looked good. So, it looked like Ultraman. There was no changing or anything. But what was neat was the electrical wires and all that kind of stuff that were in front of him.
Yeah.
When he stood up, it was like, it is the Ultraman from the old TV show, but there's that little extra bit in the special effects that make him look like he really is a giant man standing outside.
Yeah, he's brought into our reality. It's almost, Because one thing that I know I talk about this a lot, but one of the things I love about the old Godzilla movies, the first one, like you said, is like a film noir, but then they kind of get into that, what they call the Showa era, where it's like Godzilla versus this one and that one, and this 3-headed monster, and then Mothra, and then Rodan, and all these different monsters, and then they all fight, destroy all monsters, and it's kabuki theater, and a lot of Asian cultures have that kind of when I was in Thailand once, I went to a traditional performance of a mythological act. They would act out these myths. And I was like, oh my God, I'm watching an Ultraman episode. And oddly enough, there's a place just outside of Bangkok when you drive to Ayutthaya, between Ayutthaya and Bangkok, there's a place that has a giant, almost life-size Ultraman. And apparently, there's a guy in Thailand who claims to have created Ultraman. And so it's interesting to look up that history about Ultraman.
Well,
but it's kabuki in a way. It's kabuki.
That's
theater.
what I thought about. I tried to explain it to people, and I don't know if I've told this story to you guys or not before. I'll tell it again, maybe, so it's a public record and I can keep telling it. When I was working at the old printing company I worked at, there was a girl I thought I was going to ask out, and I kind of liked her, and she kind of liked me. And every time we saw each other in the hallways, we giggled, and then we'd take a break together. And I knew I was going to ask her out.
Did you wave at her like this?
I went. That's when she knew she loved me. No, but okay, Kathy, just
that's so sweet.
Yeah, well, let me finish my story. So she must have asked somebody about me.
Ooh.
Because we're in the break room. I'm sitting with several of my coworkers and friends, and we're just shooting the shit. She comes in and she goes on this massive, hateful tirade. Almost, I swear to God, almost with spittle coming out of her mouth about how she hates Japanese monster movies.
Oh, well.
She comes in and she goes, I know some people like Japanese monster movies. And all of a sudden, my buddy Ron, who knew I loved him, looked at me and went like, and I'm like, and she goes, I hate that stuff. I hate that stupid stuff where they put on costumes and they stomp on stuff. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. And I'm like, I ain't asking her out. There ain't no way.
The big door comes down. Boom.
No. Oh, it was just like instantaneous. It was like, I mean, just the way she was saying it and everything. But then there's also like, okay, so I've already gotten that there's no room in my life for the things that I like that this person would even tolerate. So I never even asked her out. It's like, well, thank God I got hit.
You have standards.
She left the room, and Ron turns to me and goes, what the hell was that all about? And I'm like, well, it's an ending is what it is.
Yes. It's an acquired I mean, you have to, there's no sort of a middle ground with those, there's giant monster with kaiju films, and there's the trailer that we just watched. There's people who are going to look at that and go, that looks dumb. I'm not going to see that. And then there's people like us that get goosebumps seeing Ultraman. Or
I always look at it this way. I try to explain it to my kids. My kids watch, I come here, lab rats. We're going to watch this. We're going to watch this Hammer film. Okay, we like the Hammer film. We're going to watch Godzilla movie. My son and daughter, they love Godzilla films. Blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, I explained to them is this started from a culture that already did things a certain way, and they had no budget to do what Ray Harryhausen could do. They did not have the time and the money. They had to do it this way. It created a kind of a theater. It just happens to be on the movie screen. You're seeing something that you would almost see live where they can stop the camera, set up the next thing, and then you get to see the next live thing that they did. And there's a charm to it and a beauty to it. And it's also put some distance where you still get to tell the story and you don't pummel people with things. I mean, there is action, there's rocks falling, there's breath blasts and all that kind of stuff, but you still get to enjoy it without, feeling like you've been bludgeoned by the time it's over with.
Yeah.
And I find, especially Mothra versus Godzilla, which is my favorite Godzilla movie and my favorite Mothra movie, is a masterpiece. One. I mean, I never get tired of it. I never get tired of that film. Yep. And I'll put it right up there against Gone with the Wind or something like that.
Oh,
but it's completely different. That's all you got to say. It's just completely different. So
needless to say, we are excited about Ultraman.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
I like the fact the monster looked like it. Okay, it's on a set. And it's a giant puppetized looking monster, but it was still really neat looking.
And it still it had the elbows. It's like crawling on a human elbows.
Sure.
I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but it's the shape. Cool. If it's a computer generated model, I don't know. But however they did it with the core rigging of a human being, because it looked like a human
inside of a suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, ever since Anguirus or Varan the Unbelievable, I mean, there's that time where you go, there's that shot where you definitely see the elbows going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so you see them, so what?
So we are excited about the elbows.
Cool. All righty.
Very cool. All right. So when the full-size trailer comes out, we'll look at that too.
And when the movie comes out, we'll do a whole episode about it, and we'll see if
for sure.
I want to be on that.
That's right.
Mark wants to come back and join us again.
See you guys next time.
It's the Cinemondo Trailer Show. Thanks for joining us.
The Earth is invaded by indestructible moon monsters.